All right, welcome to the first podcast of 2021. Super excited about today's guest, kind of a random situation here. Sarah Skrow, better known as Chel, singer, model, radio host, has amassed a following of 1.1 million followers on Facebook, 646,000 streams on Spotify in 2020, and much, much more here that we will get into. And right here from the Springfield, Illinois area. That's pretty awesome. That was a mouthful there.
Thank you. That's a quite an introduction.
Well, I know Ryan here went to school with you, correct? In Chatham. And he had kind of told me about you before, and I just think it's awesome. People from the Springfield area that have accomplished things, got to the point where you're at, or just done amazing things that a lot of people don't give. A lot of people think Springfield, you're not going to do anything from Springfield, you know what I mean? So it's awesome to see people that kind of get past that and kind of kill that.
It's interesting because most of the time I'm sitting thinking I have so much more to do, and it's hard to step back and look at the things that I have done.
Have accomplished already, yeah.
But it's tough coming from Springfield because there is not necessarily an outlet for entertainment here.
Right.
And so if you want to do entertainment, most of the time you have to move. And that journey isn't always smooth sailing.
Tough, yeah. So let's just I just want to jump back because I don't know you very well, but it'd be awesome just kind of jump back, I guess, to the beginning where you kind of got into some of this. Have you always kind of been a singer, interested in singing?
So my parents joke I came out singing. I've loved it as long as I can remember. Around 5, I was running around my house singing at the top of my lungs, and my brothers were really angry about that, and my mom said if I was going to do that I had to take voice lessons. So she put me in voice lessons, and it was the one thing, because she put me in softball and gymnastics and whatever else, and it was the one thing that I loved, that I stuck with. And out here there were only so many options for young kid to get into with singing. So I got into all the choirs. I did all the choirs. I did the musicals. I did Muni, and that I did voice lessons, and that was about the extent of what I could do vocally out here.
Well, that's awesome. So, you're good, and this was all kind of through high school then?
Yes.
So then at what point were you like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this with my career. What's the next step? What do I need to do here? Or
It's interesting because, I always had this dream of being a pop singer. Yeah. And when I was younger, I was a chubby kid, and it wasn't always the most, when you tell people you want to be a pop singer and you don't look the part, and not only do you not look the part, but you live in Springfield, Illinois, people look at you like it's
try to bring you down.
It's funny. What you're saying is,
what are you dreaming about that for?
That's so funny. So not only was it kind of a joke, but it was also, when I was younger, my parents kind of wanted me to be somewhat realistic because they wanted me to succeed in life. Yeah. And
well, it's a tough area to succeed.
Entertainment is one of the hardest areas to succeed. And not only that, but when you don't live in an area that has lots of jobs in entertainment, like if you grew up in Los Angeles and you said you wanted to have a career in fashion photography, or you wanted to have a career in singing in any aspect, there's a plethora of jobs. Right. It doesn't seem so unrealistic.
And growing up out there, you probably would have more connections.
Exactly.
It'd be a little bit easier to get in.
But growing up here, it's the idea of success is much different. Mm-hmm. And so, getting to the end of high school, there were a number of things. I wasn't feeling very confident in myself outwardly. I didn't really see opportunities, but I still had this in the back of my head. I had this dream of singing. But I didn't know what to do. My parents were pushing me to go to college, and I didn't see any direct opportunities. So I thought, well, maybe I'll go to college for music. And that didn't really pan out. So I went to college for fashion design because that was also something I was somewhat interested in.
Where'd you go?
Lindenwood in St. Charles, Missouri.
Okay.
I was also a little afraid to be super far from home, so that was a good way for me to be close enough that I could drive home,
right.
but far enough that I could.
Yeah, I get that. I went to Western, so it was kind of the same type of thing.
Yeah. But I didn't really do much with singing through college.
Really?
I stayed in voice lessons, and that was about the extent of it. I think at that point I was feeling a little bit like it may be impossible.
Yeah.
And I believe in fate. I believe in things happening the way they're supposed
Everything
to.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You know? I always say that.
And so I have a cool story. I was in my senior year of college, and when they're supposed to too. But I was in my senior year of college, and at this point I was kind of considering going into a career in special effects makeup. I had been doing makeup freelance for a while as a career, and I had taken a stage makeup course at school that I really loved.
Cool, though.
And I was starting to get into kind of the like prosthetics that I thought were very cool. But I was in the car, and usually when the radio ads come on, I change the channel, but for some reason I didn't. And there was a radio ad for a school that Nelly, the rapper, had opened in St. Louis called Extreme Institute.
Yeah. I kind of remember when he did that, actually.
Yeah, it's no longer, but
yeah.
But they had just opened it, and it was for music, recording and engineering, and music management.
Yeah. One of my buddies was in the recording and had a little studio here in town. And did he go down there? I don't remember, but I remember hearing when he did that, because I don't remember if he went down there and took some classes or not, but I kind of remember that.
Yeah, I thought it was a very cool thing. But anyways, the ad came on for it. And at the time I wasn't in voice lessons. And so I thought to myself, I wonder if they give voice lessons. So I called them, and they said they had one slot left for voice lessons, and I took it. And 2 weeks later, they asked me if I wanted to go on their summer concert tour with Murphy Lee and represent the school. And
nice.
So, of course, I said yes to that.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Then I met a producer out of St. Louis named Tech Supreme, and he asked if I wanted to make music. And I said, that's all I've ever wanted to do. And once I started, I didn't look back, and I dove right in.
What year was that about?
That was 2012, I want to say.
Okay. So you started making music with him?
Yes.
Probably was a awesome experience, like getting in the studio and just getting that whole experience. Studios always have a cool vibe. You know what I mean? The music and just the creativity. I've never like sang or done anything myself, but I've always loved music. When my buddy had a studio, I loved just being there. One of the reasons I bought my first camera and started making videos was because of music. I've always loved music, always loved the studio vibe. So I could definitely see that. And as a singer, that, I'm sure it's even amplified, even from my interest.
Definitely a learning curve there, though, because it is completely different to be a recital singer or a competition. Like I did vocal competitions and the show choirs and whatnot, but it's completely different to do that type of singing and to be a recording artist. And on top of that, it's completely different to be an entertainer and to be a front man. And especially if you've battled with self-image and self-acceptance, learning to
get past that and
make yourself a brand is a whole other thing.
Yeah, no, I've and nowadays it's like, even with social media and stuff, it seems like I just hate to see, like, I don't know if you've ever seen what was it called, the social
dilemma.
There was a social dilemma, but there was another one, I can't remember the name, but it was on Netflix, but it was about how teenagers and stuff, basically judge their popularity off of Instagram and, oh, I haven't got 60 likes in 60 minutes. I delete that post automatically. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe that kids are growing up dealing with this stuff.
Yeah.
And, but I look at your stuff, you know what I mean? And you know, I'm looking through it and everything. It's just awesome to see promoting, like loving yourself, you know, and just not paying attention to what other people say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you get that. I'm sure there's always haters.
Of course.
And how do you just try to like not read comments, or do you just brush them off when you read something stupid, or how do you usually deal with that?
So it was interesting. When I first started getting a following on Facebook, I was working with a social media management company that was also managing a rapper named 𝙈𝙬𝙇𝙇𝙄𝙊. He got famous from the McDonald's drive-through rap. And he had 1 million followers on Facebook. And so because he was managed by the same person, he had asked him to post some of my videos, which I didn't have yet. So I made videos for him to post. And I started getting a lot of followers, but you know, people felt very free, especially when you're behind a screen. People feel very free to say exactly how they feel, and it's not always nice. Right. And I struggled with it in the beginning. I really did. It almost brought me to a point where I didn't want to continue to post. And a few different things happened. One, as I continued to go on and to continue to post things, I started getting messages from younger girls who said seeing me as a bigger girl doing what I was doing made them feel like they could, and that changed everything for me. Yeah. It made me realize that, yes, I had this dream for myself, but at the same time, I also had the ability to show somebody else that they could too, or to give somebody strength or courage to step outside of their box. And, you know, Lord knows it's taken me seeing some other people doing the things that I want to do to get the inspiration from them as well.
I'm sure that's an amazing feeling for sure, getting those messages like that. They definitely outweigh the others, I would imagine. Yeah. They, you know, I don't do a ton of stuff. Well, I do, but I don't like have a huge following or anything like that. But even still, every once in a while, like somebody will reach out and just be like, man, I love what you're doing. Like, it's awesome, inspired, every once in a while. And it, it feels good to get those, only had a few of those, but
they all matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in St. Louis. You get into this. You're going on tour. When did you start? How long did you stay down in that area?
So after I graduated college, I stayed in St. Louis for another 4.5 years. I actually got a master's degree.
Oh, wow.
During that time in digital media management.
Nice.
And I stayed, I really engulfed myself into the St. Louis music scene. I was in the studio. I'd go to one studio from about 11 a.m. to probably 9 p.m. And then I'd go straight from that studio to another studio from 9 or 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. And I'd go back and I'd go to sleep and I'd do it again the next day. And it never felt like work. It just felt like I was getting to do something that I absolutely loved. And I had friends that were producers and videographers and photographers, and I was performing all the venues. But at some point, I realized I had done all the festivals. I had performed the pageant. I had done some of the big stadium stuff. I opened for Nelly twice. I opened for Jason
awesome.
Derulo. I went on a couple of tours, and I got to a point where I was like, I don't think I can go much further from here, because as much as there is more of an industry in St. Louis than there is in Springfield, there's still not enough.
Right.
So, I hit a point where it was like, okay, do I quit and try to find another field in which I'm interested, or do I up and move and see what happens? And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I moved.
Yeah.
So
went for it.
I up and left. I went to Los Angeles. I didn't know anyone out there. I didn't have anything out there. And
how scary was that?
You know, it wasn't necessarily scary going as much as the first year was terrifying being there.
Mm-hmm. Trying to make connections and meet people and stuff.
It is a culture shock coming from Springfield, Illinois, and living in St. Louis, Missouri. The way of life in Los Angeles is totally different. Everybody's playing a game. And it is a game out there. It's the first question anyone will ask you is, what do you do? Mm-hmm. And they want to assess what they can get out of their relationship with you.
Right.
And not being familiar with that, you tend to make friendships and then get very disappointed when you find out it's not a real friendship.
Mm-hmm.
But once you start to familiarize yourself with how it is, you kind of are more able to detach emotionally and
then start thinking about it yourself, like, okay.
and don't get me wrong, I have over the years made some really great friendships.
It's just probably a little harder to do.
It's a lot harder to do.
So at this point, when you head out there, what was your like social media following like?
So that's also interesting. I had started, I think 2 years prior, really working on my social media accounts.
Did your the schooling and stuff you did, do you think it helped?
My
master's,
doing some of that? I do think it helped a little bit. Yeah. I was very focused on it, and I could take some of the tools and tricks that I learned, but I wouldn't say that I felt like a master in it. But my first year in Los Angeles, since I didn't have any connections and I didn't have, I started from square one, I couldn't just dive first into music because I didn't have producers to work with. I didn't have studios to work at. I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So.
And if you're just going to go straight pay, I'm sure it's very expensive out there to get into places and get with people that are actually good to work with.
Right. So I thought about it and I was like, what can I do? Because I had a little crisis moment within my first couple months being out there, and I was like, I need to do something, and I don't have anything going on, but I need to, nobody's going to make it happen for me. I have to make it happen for myself. So I thought about it and I was like, well, I think I had about 30,000 followers on Instagram. I was like, I have a small following, but enough of a following.
Yeah, still.
And I reached out to 4 brands that I really liked. I think it was Swimsuits for All, Fashion Nova Curve, Charlotte Russe, and like Giddy Online. And
well, back then, I mean, at that point, 30,000 is not terrible.
No. And fortunately for me, Fashion Nova Curve had just started. So
they were looking for people.
So they were looking for ambassadors, and 3 out of the 4 got back to me and started having me brand ambassador for them. So I really started doing that full force. And I also had stumbled upon a spot at Dash radio hosting.
Nice.
And I dove full force into that because I was like, these are the 2 things I can really focus on.
Right. And not only that, those are good ends to start meeting some people, I think, between the fashion stuff and music and radio. Yeah.
Well, and what I learned is, it's all connected. Even, the fashion industry is connected to the photography industry, is connected to the music industry, is connected to the TV entertainment, it's connected to sports. It's all. At
some point, they all need each other.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you get into those. How was so you said you were hosting was that the radio station that you were hosting?
So it was interesting. When I moved to Los Angeles, I hired somebody to help with management, thinking that they might be able to connect me with some people, and they didn't really do much of anything, but they did connect me with Dash Radio. But I found out like 6 months in that the guy was pocketing money and stealing from me, saying he needed money for certain things, and just pocketing it.
Taking advantage of it.
So I had like, I don't know, I think I was like a month or two into Dash Radio, and he had been helping me. And so when I fired him, I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I've never been a radio host before, not to mention on my own. And so I just went in and did the best I could. And then one day, it was like a few weeks later, one of the heads came up to me, and I was like, oh, this is it. They're gonna kick me out of here. And she said, your show's doing really well. How would you like to do?
What kind of show was it? Were you just hosting songs, like talking in between, like just like a DJ for the?
They had told me initially they wanted somebody to do a EDM show. Okay. So I would make a catered playlist, and I would do little talking segments in between. And sometimes I would invite a friend to come talk with me. And so they gave me more time, and then that spiraled into, eventually became less of a EDM show to me interviewing other artists, because cool. as I moved along, I met more and more people in the music field who were aspiring artists. And so me being an artist, I felt like I could uniquely ask them about their experience in a personal way. And so that spiraled into them really liking this artist asking new up and coming artists about their music, and they started sending me lots of new artist interviews.
That's awesome. So we're able to make some good connections there.
Yes.
Get some tips.
Still today, I have a lot of friends that I made from interviewing.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I mean, that's what I was telling you this earlier, but that's honestly why I like doing this. I like meeting people or learning about people's businesses or their stories coming from Springfield or whatever. It's not very often you get, these are usually about an hour. It's not very often, I get a one-on-one with somebody for an hour just to kind of shoot the shit for a little bit. So between the brand ambassador stuff and the radio, you were kind of growing your social media at the same time, just from people starting to follow you and know who you were and stuff. The brand ambassador stuff, was it like they were sending you clothes and stuff to use on your Instagram?
Yeah, so they would send me clothes, and I would take pictures in the clothes, and I would post it.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's awesome. And that was, so what year you think that was about? Because it's interesting, because the stuff you're talking about, even though it was kind of widely being done, it was still somewhat new. Like nowadays, it's like everyone's doing it. So you're kind of at the kind of early stages of all that stuff happening, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it was late 2016.
Yeah.
Early 2017.
All right, that's awesome. I know. I think about it. I'm like, man, I was right there when all social media started, and I just did not go in head first.
I think about that all the time, because like TikTok was Musical.ly first, and I've got some friends that, or even like the people who were Vine stars and traveled that over to whatever accounts. But at the time when they came out, Vine, I was like, oh, this is just a fun little thing. I didn't think about it as a tool, or TikTok,
And that's how, like, YouTube, that's my biggest thing, is like when YouTube came out, like I was doing videos, like I was messing around with friends, like wakeboarding and just different things. And then I was in college and we were doing all kinds of stupid crap. You know what I mean? I was like, man, if I would have just been posting my videos to YouTube, I'd have the biggest following right now. I bet.
Sponsored by all of the.
Jeez, but I guess you live and you learn. One of the guys that I follow, who's kind of a media person like me, but in New York with a large company and stuff, he always says something about, 80-20? Like spend 80% of your time on the stuff that is big and is working and everything, and then 20 like dabbling in other little things. So like if that new social media platform comes along, you don't know if it's going to be the new TikTok.
Right.
But spend a little bit of your time in it and get to know it. That way you can recognize, like, yeah, all right, I'm already on here, and I just got to amplify it a little bit. Yeah. And honestly, we still try to do that a little bit on our side. We don't do probably as good a job as we should, but
it's hard. It's because I do all of my own social media.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you did.
I've had help here and there, but as of right now, I'm doing everything myself, and it is very hard to stay on top of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and
so
then
many.
There's Clubhouse, Loom. I'm trying to think of SoundCloud. I could probably keep going,
sure.
but then I feel bad because I have all these notifications in all of these different platforms, and then there's emails, and then there's text messages.
It's hard for sure. We, one of the things I always tell our customers is we manage your social media so you can manage your business, because it's tough to do it all. It's crazy.
But it's so crucial too, though. The social media aspect, if I've learned anything over the years, I'm only where I am because of social media. Mm-hmm. I've willed it into existence through social media.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like, you made some right choices, though. I mean, you can't give all the credit to social, but,
Thanks,
without you doing some of
it. It took a little bit of endurance, too. But
yeah. Well, getting out to California and getting into radio and, with you wanting to do music, doing those two things, those are brilliant moves. Like, you probably maybe didn't credit yourself at the time, or maybe necessarily know that that's why you were, I don't know, maybe you did, but I'm just saying, like, I could see that just kind of happening, and then all of a sudden be like, wow, that was perfect. I can't believe I did that. Because stuff like that does happen too, but those were two perfect moves, you know what I mean? So that's pretty cool to hear that those were the two things that kind of got you in with some people out there. Mm-hmm. So how long you been out there then? You said that was 2016?
Yeah, it'll be 4 years in May. I think it's May 8th is my date.
That's awesome.
And it'll be 4 years, which is crazy because it feels like I just moved out there yesterday.
Time goes by fast. So when did it when did you really was there a point where I was like, damn, my Facebook just jumped 200,000 followers. What is going on here? I don't know if there's sometimes it's a video or there's just a point where it's
Facebook kind of spiraled out of control because my mom, I have to give a lot of credit to my family. My mom has been my right-hand man through all of this. I talk to her multiple times a day, even when I'm in Los Angeles, and she keeps me on track. If I forget things, she'll call me and be like, did you do this? Did you do this? And she, as for someone that doesn't really even listen to music, right. she has really stepped into this role, and I couldn't do it without her. And, of course, my dad and my brother look over every single contract that comes in.
Yeah,
so I feel very, very blessed that my family has decided to support me in this, and that they get excited about it, because it is not an easy path. So having support is crucial.
That's
and
awesome.
People you can trust too. But my mom, back to the Facebook thing, my mom had started to boost everything on Facebook. And this was a couple years ago. And she realized that every time she would boost it, it would get this slew of new followers. And so she kept boosting and boosting and boosting. And
yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's pay to play sometimes on stuff like that. But even still, people have to like it. You know what I mean? They have to like what you're doing, and you can put
there has to be something about the content.
Exactly, they got to connect with you. So at that point, you're out there. When did you really start then getting into doing music out there?
So I would say,
And how did that kind of work out? Was it, while you were at the radio, did you start kind of?
So yeah, it's like I said, my first year out there was something else. I moved into a house. I rented. I didn't want to live alone when I didn't know anyone out there anyways. So I rented a room in a big house, and within the first month and a half, one of my roommates took my other roommate's car 3 hours away and pushed it off a 60-foot cliff. And then we still lived with all the same people. Nobody was evicted, so it was a war zone. And
Jesus.
It was, things were getting stolen and destroyed. And I'm going through the same thing with my management that I hired. And it was a tough first year.
I was going to say, it sounds stressful.
The reason I found out about the bad management was they had set me up with a producer out of Atlanta who had won a Grammy for working, I think, on the Carter 3. And so he came out to work with me, and they set me up with him and one other producer. So I worked sparingly when I could with people that they set me up with. But after those were two small occurrences working on music. The first year I really didn't work much on music.
Yeah.
But after that, I had one of my best friends out of St. Louis decide to move to Los Angeles. And he was, you know how I said I went from one studio to another studio? His studio was the second studio that I went to. So when he moved, he was still he still is very back and forth. But he rented a studio space on Sunset Boulevard. And
he knew how to do all the producing
yeah,
stuff.
he had been doing it for years. And so thankfully to him, he said to me, you know, come in, and if I don't have anybody here, we'll record.
Nice.
And so for about 2 years, I would go in and stay there all night, and he'd have his friends or people that he'd meet come in, and I'd meet other artists, and we'd record or we'd hang out or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I started making connections. Also through the radio station, I'd meet some people in the industry and make connections that way. But it wasn't until I had a guy reach out that wanted to manage me, and he's from Chicago. He came to Springfield. I performed Logfest in Springfield.
Oh, yeah.
And he drove out to see me perform, and he liked the music, and he was very interested in managing me, so we started working with him, and he set me up with a producer in Los Angeles that was also from Chicago. And he is who I've done most of my songs with to this point. He's incredible, and I love the music that we come up with. But majority of the music that I'm making is with that same producer.
Okay. That's what I was curious if you try to find like different people, or is it, you just kind of you vibe with one, and it's sometimes, you make a good friendship and you vibe with somebody, and it just works out better.
I'm always eager to work with anyone, because being in the studio and making music is probably my favorite part of all of it.
Yeah.
So if I have the opportunity to work with new people or to be in the studio or whatever it is, I will take it, and I will be happy about it. But I tend to I feel like the vibe with this particular producer fits me very well.
Yeah. So was that manager, do you still use him now, or?
Because he was in Chicago and I was in Los Angeles, it became not so easy for management. So he's not managing me right now, but he is still on the team. And anytime we have any calls about decisions being made, he is a part of it. Them. And, I've I said,
he was a good guy though.
Yeah. And I've been blessed to have some people along the way that really believe in it and want to help.
Do you ever have people that come along? You talked about being in LA, and who are you? What do you do? Do you have people that come along and want to just kind of take advantage of your following, or like anything like that you kind of deal with now that you've been out there for a little bit?
I'm a bit of a homebody.
Yeah.
I don't
not like out like that.
My first year or two out there, I was out like that, and there were some experiences where I wasn't sure if that person was really interested in being my friend or really interested in dating, or if whatever it was. But I'm very to myself, and I've gathered a group of really good people at this point, and I feel like I probably should be pushing myself to network more, but it's kind of hard right now with COVID anyways.
Right. Yeah,
so I don't have that as much.
how now California's pretty damn shut down, isn't it?
Yep. I think everything is shut down right now, and I know they have a 10-day quarantine if you're flying in from anywhere, and
crazy times, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that, but so, man, that's crazy though. So you're out in California. You kind of done this stuff. How long did you do the radio station for?
I did that for a little over 2 years. It started becoming a lot of work because the more I did it, the more interviews I was getting. And, for me, I was a one-man band. So I was doing the research. I was doing the interview. I was recording the interview. I was editing the interview. I was choosing the music. I was taking the pictures and videos, and I was editing that, and I was posting on social media. I would send the social media posts to the radio station
I need to focus on myself here.
And yes, at some point, I felt like I was doing pretty well at it, which was great. But at some point, it was taking up way too much.
It's only so much time in the day.
Of my time, and I found myself neglecting other areas. So I stepped back, and then COVID happened, and they stepped back from doing radio shows anyways because you can't exactly have too many people come into a radio station.
People criticize you, whatever.
During all of this.
How about like your music videos? How do you usually go about those? Do you have like a certain people you work with, or is it just kind of like try to find somebody to film them? Or, you know what I mean? I'm just curious from a video standpoint. Like,
videos have been tough for me because I fund everything that I do, and so obviously I'm somewhat on a budget, and I've had some videographers reach out and offer to do the video, but then I still have to do all the costuming and all the props and all the set design and get all the
do you usually
actors.
For your videos then come up like with how you want to do it and the vision for it all and everything?
Yeah, I'll bounce it off of the director, but I'm hoping to find people moving forward that it can be a little less on me.
Yeah.
But when you're low budget, that's hard.
Yeah, for sure. Well, they're good videos.
Thank you.
I mean, definitely. I mean, I understand that because, I mean, some of these people spend so much money on a video. You know what I mean? It's kind of low budget stuff though is kind of, in a way, cool because you have to figure out how to get creative with not having very much money. So that challenge can sometimes be neat to kind of take on. How about music? Do you write everything?
Yes. Occasionally I'll have a friend sit down with me and
bounce ideas.
Yeah, and we'll write it together. But I really like to have not an attachment to what I'm saying, but to have it be real. Yeah. You know what I mean? To have it come from me.
Right. Because that's always amazed me, like some of these songs that people sing that they just didn't write at all. And I'm like, man, I can't believe more singers don't just write their music. I mean, I guess after, you've done it for years and years and years, maybe it starts to get harder. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a writer, but
I think there is an art to it. I mean, to me, it's a lot like poetry, and it has to have the right cadence, and it has to have the right rhyme schemes, and there's a formula. If you listen to any top 40 song, I was just sitting with one of my friends and going over this with her, but if you listen to any top 40 song, it's usually A, B, A, B, or A, B. And then
I've heard that a lot.
And there's
somebody was telling me that they, who was it? They were telling me that now they have computer programs with like artificial intelligence that they'll literally plug a song into, and they let the song, like major record labels, they'll basically like tell them whether it's going to be a hit or something crazy.
I mean, like I said, there is a formula. You can listen to every song on the top 40, and there's breaks at certain points. There's ad libs at certain points. You can hear similarities in every single song.
Yeah.
And if you're paying attention and you study it, then
if you have a little bit of music background knowledge,
right,
you probably notice it more.
But that's also a skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody has the time or the energy or the ear for that.
So that's pretty cool though that you you write your own stuff, because I feel like that's important. You know what I mean? Personally, sometimes when I hear like I said, when I hear artists didn't write their stuff, to me it's just kind of I almost don't like it as much.
Yeah.
But so nowadays, you just came out with a new song.
I did.
Not too long ago. What was it, in November?
I think it was late October.
Oh, but the video came out in November.
The video came out in November, I think 11th.
And it's
Nasty Woman.
Nasty Woman. I took a listen to that, and it was a good video. I like the concept of it. Actually, I think we could play a little clip of it here. Brian wants.
Told me to sit down and be quiet. Told me that's the way to be, or ladylike. Don't try to keep me in a box. Dealt with that my whole life, now I'm speaking up. 'Cause I've been overlooked, underpaid, turned away. I wanna pay not to.
All right, so that was a little clip of her new video there and song Nasty Woman. You can get on her YouTube page. We'll put a link in the description there to see that full thing. But that was a good video. How long did it take? Oh, jeez, losing my mic here. How long did it take you guys to film that?
So it's funny. I started working with a new distribution company, and they were really pushing for me to put a different song out. And I, in my head, had wanted to put Nasty Woman out in the fall. I wanted to correlate it with the election, because, as we all know, Trump loves to call women nasty, which is part of where that came from. But I wanted to put it out alongside of the election, and the distribution company I was working with was really pushing for me to put a different song out. And then a series of events happened. Kamala Harris became the vice presidential nomination, and Trump called her nasty. And I was like, it's a sign. I have to put the song out. So I called up the distribution company and said, I'm putting it out. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
This is happening. And after making that decision, I knew that I had a matter of weeks that I had to put the video together, because it was so spur of the moment, and I knew it had to have a video with it. And fortunately for me, I have a drummer. I have a band in Los Angeles, and my drummer I'm very good friends with. He started about a year ago drumming for Dame Dash. Okay. And Dame Dash, my drummer started inviting me, and he became a friend of mine, and he generously offered for me, he has a TV studio in Los Angeles, and he generously offered for me to use his TV studio. Nice. and his cameras, and he set me up with his videographer, and and that was my saving grace for the video. So the videographer was incredible and came up with most of the scenes. I fortunately was able to have some good friends come and take part, who wouldn't have normally done that sort of thing. My friend Jacob Seidman, he's also from Springfield, and he lives in Los Angeles. He's an actor, but he came up as a dancer, and he last minute, I think I called him a night or two before the video and asked if he would help me, and he choreographed everything, like the scenes with the puppeteering. He did all of that. He was the guy in the black suit in the back, also from Springfield.
Nice. That's awesome.
And yes, and two of my other friends that were there are from St. Louis,
perfect,
living in Los Angeles. But yeah, it was very last minute. It was very
Well, it doesn't look last minute.
What can we do to make this? That's credit to the videographer.
Yeah.
He really did his thing, and I'm very grateful to everyone who helped to make it happen, because you're right. It looks very professional for the budget, for the amount of time, and
I think it's got almost 500,000 views.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
It went over. I think it's a little above that now.
Is it?
So
yeah.
That's exciting.
That's what do you think helped attribute to that? Some of the other stuff you've been doing compared to other videos. I know you have some other ones that got quite a few 100,000. But this one looks like it's the most, and it's been up for not very long.
Yeah, I've had a really good year. When quarantine started, I was just about to go to South by Southwest, and I had a couple of shows.
I've always wanted to go down there.
It's very cool. If you ever get the chance, if things get better and whatnot, it's a cool place to be. But I had a couple of showcases, and I was super disappointed, and I was like, I don't know how to keep things rolling from here. And one of my friends called me, and he blew up over the last year. He had a song go viral, and
nice.
We wrote a song together called Party of One.
Yep,
and
I listened to that one. That was
he
good.
called me and he said, this is the perfect quarantine song. He said, everyone's having a party of one. Put it out. And I said, you're right. And so
I liked you pushing the sofa out in the middle of the street.
Yes, I had one of my friends who went to Lindenwood with me. She flew out to stay with me for a month, and she does videography and photography, and so we were just running around the streets of Los Angeles. We saw some stuff sitting on the curb, a couch, dragged it out. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
But I really thought about it, and I was like, I can't do shows. I can't tour. I can't.
But everybody's online.
But
and wants
I was
entertainment.
like, what can I do? So I've had these moments through my career. What can I do? And instead of sitting and thinking, everything's
right.
shit.
There's nothing I can do.
I was like, okay, I can put out music, because I have all these songs that I've been wanting to put out that I have been sitting on. So I can put out some of these songs, and I can work on TikTok, which I had not even started. And my idea with TikTok was, even though, to be honest with you, I really hate making TikTok videos, and it's not the most fun thing for me.
Right.
I was looking at it like,
you almost have to.
Yeah, I mean, strategically, you can use all social media platforms to, I feel like as a brand, as a business, you are missing a huge marketing point if you're not taking advantage of these social media platforms.
Especially with you and the position, everything you're doing, music.
Right.
TikTok is just crazy.
And I was also thinking about the fact that when you listen to the radio stations now, 80% of the songs on the radio stations blew up on TikTok. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well,
look at all these people just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you've looked into TikTok, but I've done a lot of research on it just out of curiosity for advertising sides of things. And I don't know what it costs now, but the whole challenge thing, to get on that thing, you can pay and set up a challenge, and then you're featured on that list. And then in my head, if I was a musician, I would
pay the money for it.
I would obviously pick a song that I know I could pull a little 15-second clip out of, pay the money, 1, for the challenge, 2, pick 4 or 5 high, followed TikTokers to create, to help create that challenge, and then have them be the first ones to post it. And obviously you do it also. And I just don't see how it could not blow up if somebody did that. You know what I mean? I don't know what it costs now. It's probably way more expensive than it was when TikTok first got started.
There are also other ways to go about it. You can reach out to or pay other TikTok influencers to do videos to your song, and then that will spiral into their followers doing videos to that song.
And that's kind of what I meant, is the mix of having it featured on there, and then also them doing the I don't get on. I'm on it. I don't make as many as I should to be familiar with it, but we do it a little bit here.
Yeah. But yeah, so my goal with TikTok was, get somewhat of a following and then hopefully have TikTok headquarters reach out to me and then find out about trying to get my song on the playlist, which happened. I ended up getting my song Friends on the new releases on TikTok.
Nice.
And it was up there for 2 months.
Perfect.
And
do they give you any kind of statistics off of that? Then when you have a song on there, do you get any kind of...
I get statistics like how many people did a video to my song, and I haven't checked in a while.
Interesting.
But I think it was around 1,000 or so the last time I checked.
Yeah.
Videos. But yeah, I really wanted to focus this year on putting out some music and working on new social media platforms. And, when I put out Nasty Woman, I really wanted to make a big wave because I felt like it had the ability to make a statement. Mm-hmm. And so I hired a publicist for Nasty Woman.
Oh, nice.
And she really went out of her way above and beyond to push it as hard as she could. And
so what should she do? Like submit it to different websites, just help get exposure?
She reached out to all her contacts through magazines, newspapers, radio stations. And
just out of curiosity, did you know somebody or how'd you find?
So my old manager out of Chicago, I don't know if he knew her or knew of her, and she's out of New York.
Okay.
And she's managed like Love and Melanie Martinez.
Nice.
Or not managed, done PR.
Yeah.
And so he reached out to her, and she's a feminist, and
nice.
So I think my story resonated with her.
Awesome.
And yeah, she's gone above and beyond for me, and even now she's like, I want to be on the team, and we're gonna make this work.
New relationship.
Yeah,
that's great. So past the music though, have been doing modeling. I saw like some Sports Illustrated stuff. How did all that come about?
So music was always the goal. But I've never, like I said, with social media and with radio, I've always felt like planting seeds was never a bad thing.
Yeah.
And so I had started to do the brand ambassadoring, so it was like Instagram modeling, and that spiraled into me doing a couple of freelance modeling gigs in Los Angeles, and that at some point, I think it was last September, I performed CurvyCon in New York City, which is a really big body positivity convention.
That's cool.
And it's during New York Fashion Week. And the reason that happened is probably about 8 months prior to CurvyCon, I was doing my research on people in the industry that were all about body positivity, because that's part of my brand. And I found the creators of CurvyCon, and I thought, this is really cool. What they're doing is very cool. And I saw that the year before Lizzo had performed, and that Ashley Graham had been there, and all these people that I idolize. And so I reached out and I said, I messaged both the founders and the CurvyCon page, and I said, if you're ever looking for a performer, I would love to
simple message
do it. And I didn't hear anything for about 5 or 6 months, and then 6 months later, one of the founders reached back out to me, and she said, I looked at your stuff, I loved it, I would love to have you come perform.
Yeah.
And so I went, and and it's actually really funny, I was looking for a kick-ass outfit for it. And surprisingly, nobody makes very costumey, like pop outfits, like the fun performance outfits. You can't really find them. So I was like on Etsy trying to find something.
Make something more
and
custom.
The coolest stuff I could find were from a brand that makes drag clothing. Mm-hmm. So I had reached out to see if
They always love fun clothing.
If they could make me something. And they said, you know what, we're getting ready for New York Fashion Week. We're so sorry. We're not going to be able to get you something in time. They said, and I said, oh, that's funny. I'm going to be there performing that exact same time as New York Fashion Week. And they said, well, why don't you come walk in our show?
Oh, wow.
And
so Curvy goes on about the same time as Fashion Week?
CurvyCon goes on at the same time as New York Fashion Week.
Okay.
And so I went out and I performed CurvyCon and I walked in New York Fashion Week. And from that, at CurvyCon, they have a bunch of brands that partner with them. So they have 𝙤𝙤𝙘𝙊𝙘 and 𝙒𝙀𝙁𝙗𝙗 and Good American and all the brands that are now really trying to push curve lines or plus lines.
Right.
And through that, Good American, which is Khloe Kardashian's clothing line.
Unfortunately, I know that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sitting there with my wife watching Keeping Up with Kardashians in the background all the time.
They were there, and they came to me and they said, we saw you on the lineup and we checked you out, and how would you feel about coming to do a shoot with Khloe?
Wow.
And I said, that would be awesome.
Yeah. No, I don't want to do that.
And so I got to be part of the good squad and do a shoot with Khloe Kardashian.
Wow, what an experience. Yeah, that's awesome.
And also through CurvyCon, 𝙒𝙀𝙁𝙁𝙗𝙗 reached out and had me walk 2 shows for them in Los Angeles, which all of that then spiraled into me getting signed to a plus size modeling agency last Christmas.
Awesome. It's crazy, all that stemmed from a message to them. Hey, if you ever want me to do this.
Yeah, and
people are afraid to just do that, simply reach out. Maybe you won't get a response. It's probably a little bit easier on your side because you had a decent following on everything, but.
Yes, but even if you don't, this is why I was saying social media has really been my key to getting to where I am, is because if you use it correctly, you can really, you have access to anyone.
Right.
And it doesn't always mean they're going to see the message or that they're going to respond. But if you reach out to 100 people,
exactly,
you're probably going to get 15 or 20 responses.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to, but you're going to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And you just have to be willing to take the time and to do the research.
Take all the no's along with the yeses.
Yeah, it's all part of it.
Man, that's awesome. What a great story. I just love, though, how there's these little points where it kind of just stemmed into so many more things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I read a book one time called The Tipping Point, and it's about those little points in life where, if you would have gone left instead of right, your whole life would be completely different. Yeah. Well, if you wouldn't have gone to L.A., or you wouldn't have heard that radio commercial,
right?
Or you wouldn't have messaged Curve. You know what I mean? It's like, what would be happening right now? I don't know.
Yeah.
So you definitely have some of those key points there that we hit on. That's an awesome story to definitely hear. So what's next? What's going on? What's after the pandemic? What do we got?
I'm trying to figure that out myself. I've made a lot of new music this last year, and I plan to make some more new music. I would really like this year to put out a lot of it. Yeah. I've been trying to be.
Do you have a strategy when you make it? Do you really try to plan out a strategy?
Yeah, so that's been the problem, is I've been trying to be very strategic because it's not an albums game anymore.
Right.
People don't, unless it's Kendrick Lamar or Drake or
no one's like,
or Taylor Swift, they're probably not going to sit and listen to a full length album. So it's smarter to put out singles. But the problem with putting out singles, especially as an independent artist and one who's not quite as well known, is that you really have to market those singles. Yeah. And so you have to give it enough time and marketing, and you have to have the video and the artwork and all of those things. So we've been giving each single at least 2 to 3 months. Mm-hmm. And doing a single every 2 to 3 months means you're probably only going to put out 4 songs, maybe in a year. So the last couple of years, I've only put out couple of songs every year, and then I have this buildup of songs that I wish I was putting out, and I don't know.
Sometimes it's like, maybe I should just pump these out.
Yeah. So I'm thinking right now, especially with, quarantine still being a thing, I'm thinking about toying with the idea of either putting out small EPs when I put out a single, like putting out 3 songs at a time and just featuring one.
Yeah.
Or putting out a song every month. These are kind of ideas. I have a phone call probably this upcoming week with my team to try to figure out how we're going to go about things. But
I don't know if you follow Jack Harlow at all, but I've noticed kind of what he's been doing is he'll just drop his whole album all of a sudden, and he just puts like either a graphic with it or something basic. And I don't know if he analyzes, like, I don't know what his strategic side of it is. With me, I could see just dropping all the songs, seeing which ones are getting the most attention and the most feedback, and then maybe prioritizing videos for those.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only thing with that is if you have any hope for it to take off on like a TikTok type of thing, if you put them all out at once, then there's less chance of one getting singled out.
Right.
If you put them out sporadically, then you're asking them to focus on this one now, focus on this one now, focus on this one, and keep people's attention.
But what about, like, I mean, there's songs by artists that came out years ago that all of a sudden are popping off on TikTok.
Yeah, you could.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just throwing thoughts out there.
I could go and I have a song called That Fire from 2016. I could go and start a campaign around that song and pay some influencers or do the hashtag thing, a challenge, and really try to work that and make it.
But you think you got something better in the lineup?
I do think I have some. You know what? I love that song actually, but I have some really cool stuff that I've been working on that I'm very excited about.
Now I have something that I've had a theory on, and I'm interested in your opinion on it. So Lil Nas X came out of nowhere, with his songs. Let's just take like the song Panini, for example. It's only like a minute long.
Yeah.
It's so short. And I'm like, did he do that on purpose? So like on Spotify, like in my head, like when you listen to it,
you get more streams.
Yes. Is that a thing? Does that work like that? Or
I hadn't thought about that until just now, but it is smart. Have you listened to?
Because if it gets stuck in your head and you keep wanting to listen to it, but it only lasts a minute, you're going to sit there and keep replaying it so you can hear it.
Songs are getting shorter and shorter. I don't know if you've listened to, like, if you're paying attention to a lot of the radio songs, but it used to be that most songs on the radio were like around 3.5, 4 minutes. And now it's more around 2.5, 3 minutes per song.
Why do you think that is? Attention spans?
It could be attention spans. It could be exactly what you're saying. I didn't even think about it, but I've been making shorter songs too. Most of my songs are around 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Too. If you just can, you don't have to come up with as many lyrics.
True. I think we're getting rid of bridges as well. Third verses and bridges aren't really a thing as much anymore.
Interesting.
And also, have you heard Tierra Whack's Whack World?
I don't think so.
It's great. You should take a chance at some and watch the videos because the videos are awesome.
Definitely.
But all of her songs are 90 seconds.
Wow.
And it's very cool. It's like just enough. And
a little tease.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, there's weird stuff like that. And just that, like the Nas X thing, that's just from like me, like thinking like, all right, if I was why would he do that? And if I was like, well, if I was an artist, if you can just get that good hook and you can just add a little bit of something to it. Make them want to
listen to it again
and
again.
It's in their head and they just want to keep playing it. I'm like, he probably gets at least, I would think, like 3 times as many just from people wanting to hear it because it ends so fast.
I also think with things like Panini and probably his new song Holiday, I think, and I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this, but I think he's probably not writing his songs anymore, and I think he probably has a team of strategists who
maybe they thought of that,
who are thinking about those things. So I don't think he is necessarily behind the decisions that are being made at this point.
Because that's how it works, though, on Spotify, right? You get paid like per stream.
Per stream, yeah.
Interesting. What point do you get to start getting paid? How's that work?
I get a check quarterly.
But like, at what point did you get like? Because you could like, I can't go put a song on Spotify and start getting paid, right?
You could.
Really? They'll start paying immediately.
Quarterly. But I mean, it like depends on how many streams you get of that song. They pay you. I think 1 million streams equates to somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000. So it's not crazy money, but if you put up a song, you could literally. I
didn't know if they had like you had to at least get to this many streams before we'll even consider giving you any money for your music or anything.
I think it goes through your distribution company, which you could literally go through like DistroKid, which is I think $10 to upload a song, and they put it on all the platforms. Yeah. And
we use Anchor for this, and it goes out everywhere on Spotify and Apple Music and all those places. But I don't think we're getting the views. I'm not getting any checks. But
you should ask Anchor, where's my money?
No. Well, yeah, I mean, it's what a cool story. I love hearing it. I love, again, people from Springfield just doing amazing things. And you took a unique path there. You made some good decisions, and probably a little bit of fate and a little bit of, just your own sitting there thinking it out. Like you said, never just sitting still. What do I got to do? I'm excited to see what you do next.
Thank you.
That's very cool to see.
Thank you for having me. I love to see this here because, growing up, I didn't see quite as much in the creative field out here. So it always makes me happy when I see things like what you're doing, and even like I was really excited to see like 𝙒𝙗𝙗 music in Springfield because
did you go over there?
I have been over there. I think once I did a radio show with them.
Nice.
Probably a year ago, but yeah, it's cool to see.
It's starting to expand a little bit. It's starting to expand. A little people starting to do some more interesting things and kind of creating a little bit of a scene. And it's fun. We like what we do, and I'd like to honestly get into some more like I don't know if I just want to do some more stuff where it's like I can unleash a little more creativity. Doing stuff for businesses. You gotta kind of watch some of the stuff you do. So whether that's like doing music videos or like some short films or something at some point, I think that's definitely in the future. I have some different ideas for stuff. So that will be cool someday when hopefully I have some time to do it.
Well, you'll have to keep me posted because I always need videos.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Collaborate on something sometime. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming out. I know, when you're home on vacation, it's important that you get as much time with family and stuff as you can. So I know you took some time out of your schedule to do that. So it really is awesome, and we really appreciate that. Coming showing some support on the show here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And anybody that's looking to check out her music, pretty much everything is just at Music by Chel, right?
Pretty much everything is at Music by Chel. Fun fact, because in Springfield, most people know me as Sarah.
Right.
My middle name's Michelle. And
that's where I saw that. I figured that's probably where it came from.
When I first started making music, I was going by Sarah Michelle, and when you looked that up on Google, you got 1 million results that were Sarah Michelle Gellar. And we realized that none of my stuff was ever going to pop up at the top of the list. Tough. And so we were like, what can we do here? Because I need to think of something to go by. Yeah. And my dad came up with Chel, and he jokes that he named me twice.
So I was creeping, and I was like, I wonder if she's running any ads. You know what I mean? Just curious. So there's a spot where you can look at like if someone's running ads, and it also says name changes. So I saw your name changes.
That's cool. I didn't know you could look that up.
Yeah, I'll have to show it. It shows like the year, and I'm like, well, she changed her name a few times that year.
Yeah.
2016, I think it was.
Yeah.
But all right, well, yeah, definitely go check her out. Music by Chel, the new music video for Nasty woman.
Nasty
right?
woman.
I wanted to make sure I got not nasty girl, nasty woman. Thanks again very much for coming on, and look forward to see what you got going on in the future. Hopefully someday we'll have you back with new stories.
I would love that. Thank you again for having me.
All right. Thanks, everybody.